Anyway, all the newspapers and the tin cans. The tin cans came uh, from the different homes, and what we would do during the Second World War was every tin can that we emptied, like a can of peas or a can of
Open
corn,
both ends.
we would peel the label off of it. Then we would take the can opener and open the bottom of the can so that the top and bottom were out of it. And then we would step on it on the floor and put the two lids, top and bottom lids, slide them in the tin can that we sort of folded up.
He helped win
And
the
we'd have-
Second World
we'd have
War. We all
boxes-
did, us
Boxes
kids.
full of tin cans for the scrap drive.
So you were a scrapper way before me.
Yeah,
You were learning how to load that truck up.
He
I was a
was.
scrapper before I
I
knew
never
what
thought of
scrapping
that,
was all
Joe, but
about.
that's the truth.
Right.
But that helped
He even made his
Helped the
wagon
war
to
effort.
carry it.
helped the war effort, and my brothers who were fighting for this country to keep us all alive and free. But most of all, my whole life was a good life. And
Should he tell about his first marriage?
Well, so let's just. So you're. Did you graduate from high school? What about school with you?
Oh,
How
yeah,
was that?
You gotta tell about that.
school,
How
school was
you got to go live with your sister. So
school was good because at the age of 16 years old, I was just coming on 16. My mother wanted me to quit school and go to work full time,
more money for the household.
and it would be more money for the household.
And she needed it.
And I didn't want to quit school because I wanted to be a carpenter like my dad. So I wanted to go to a
Trade
school that
school.
taught carpentry, and I did. And my sister, one of my older sisters, had a husband who worked on the subway, and he was killed because he was hit by a train. And
Yeah.
she was a widow with two little children to raise, and she turned to my mother and said, "Mom, why don't you let Sal come and live with me? I could use his help with the children, and I'll see to it that he finishes high school." So I went to live with my sister, and bless her heart, she taught me well too, because her and I would go out in New York. Our means of transportation was to walk wherever you needed to go. So we'd go out and walk the city streets, and if we passed, and by the way, my sister was dressed all in black,
A widow.
black stockings, black dress, black hat, and if we passed a Catholic church, she would say, "Sal, let's go into church and light a candle for my husband." And a practice at that time was to go in and light a candle and kneel in a pew and say some prayers and then get up and leave. And she taught me good things like that. And she was a very, very loving sister.
And most of all, she helped him get through school. He graduated.
So then, when you graduated from high school, at that time you're 18.
Yeah.
So that's when you're about to get drafted into
That
the
was
war.
about that. Well, I worked for a short period of time after I got out of high school, but then I came of age for the draft, so I was drafted into the Army, and I went from New York City to a place in Jersey, which was an induction center, and I was put in the Army, and I was sent southeast to the Dixie Division in Indiana, and this was getting out of New York City, which was a big thing.
Eye opener for you
in those days, for us city kids to be able to get out in the country like that.
Yeah. Had you been out in the country before, or you just always been in the city?
I've been out in the country before. As a matter of fact, I'm going to back up a little bit here. When I was going to high school, my teacher offered me a job to go live with his family, which was up north of New York, in the country.
Okay.
And here was a city kid with an opportunity to live in the country for a whole summer. And I went and lived with his family, and helped him to build a house. And when I went there, there was a foundation in the ground for the house, and there was a load of lumber, and we took it from there, and piece by piece we built that whole house.
That was when you were training to be a carpenter?
And
is that why it made sense for you to go there for the summer and do that?
He hired me
Yeah.
to be a carpenter because that
He knew.
cabinet that I made
Yeah.
brought home to my dad, he gave me a mark of 95% on,
Nice.
and I questioned him on it. How come I didn't get 100%? And he says, nobody's perfect.
Not even you.
Nice.
So
Well, he was proud of you at least, huh?
he was a good teacher,
Yeah.
and he hired me and took me up to live with his family. And he knew that he was taking a city kid and giving him an opportunity to further his education in carpenter work,
Right.
and to get out of the city.
Yeah.
That was great.
So
Is
I
that when
spent
you
a
started
whole-
learning about farming?
I spent no.
Not yet?
no, I
Not
didn't-
yet?
I didn't learn farming until
That's
after
why
I
Till
got
Richard?
in the Army.
Oh, okay.
But,
Till they met my family, my brother-in-law.
Okay, so
anyway, it was a good opportunity for me to get out of the city. And we used to go every day after work. We used to go down to the reservoir, and we went swimming there. So I did my bathing every day by going to the reservoir with my teacher, and he had two other boys and myself. Three of us that all went down there to bathe at the end of our workday.
Did you use soap?
Yeah, of course we used soap.
now what about during any of this time? Did you have any time for girls? It sounds like you're pretty busy.
Oh yeah, I had my first experience with having a girlfriend. There was a girl who lived across the street from where I was building the house with him, and I took a liking to her, so I used to sit outside her window at night and sing.
Serenading her?
Yep.
So you've always liked the country girls, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I am not a country girl.
Well, I would say you kind of are, Grandma.
No, I'm not.
Well,
Yes, you
you'll have
do.
to.
I was Miss Cherryville.
Yeah, but Cherryville is.
I was the so pretty.
Cherry Hill's a country girl.
Yeah, that's. You were the queen of the country. I'm not saying you weren't that, but just let's not be. But you get to tell your story next time. So.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
pretty long. I never
Finish it.
heard of that.
Okay, so now let's see. Well, we were talking. You were graduating high school.
That's
Now
right,
you did that for the summer, and then
Right.
you graduated Europe,
Yeah.
and then you get drafted. And
Then I got drafted in the Army,
And went to
and
Korea.
I trained in a southern outfit called the Dixie Division, and then I went overseas to Korea, and again in Korea, I got to reflect on my 21st birthday because Mom always baked a cake for her children on their birthday,
Okay.
and I could remember to this day Mom whipping up a
She had a
bowl
big bowl
of
like
batter
that.
to make a cake, and anyway, here I was on a 38th parallel in a strange land, saying to myself,
What are you doing
what
there?
am I doing here? I should be home eating a birthday cake.
Right. So, so we'll kind of skip over the army stuff and go to where you come out of the army now. So you're coming back home, or are you coming back to New
Okay.
York?
When I got out of the army,
Yeah, you did.
I flew from the California coast all the way back to Jersey City, and we mustered out at that point, and I went home to my residence in New York, but I only spent 7 days there. Then I came to Michigan because one of my brothers that was in the Navy married a wave, moved to Michigan, and he was in the midst of having 10 children. And
Good Catholic.
there's always room for one more.
Right.
Let him come.
So I came as a young veteran. I came out of the army and came out here to Michigan because I knew the construction trades were better here, and my brother had married a wave. And
What is a wave? Is that the
a wave
name?
is a
That's
lady sailor.
Oh, okay.
A
Okay,
female
so
sailor.
he was in the Navy, and he married a wave on 4th of July.
And
Came
Helen.
here to
Very
Michigan,
patriotic.
Came here to Michigan and raised a family of 10
And
kids.
his name was Nick.
And he was getting out of the city by coming to Michigan, and I was getting out of the city by coming and joining him because construction was at
Yeah.
a peak at that time.
In
And
Detroit.
within a year, living here in Michigan, I acquired my apprenticeship and went through a 4-year apprenticeship and became a journeyman carpenter. And that was my career for my whole life.
So,
And, I always enjoyed my work.
yeah, that's one of the things that you said when your brother told you things that you remember. One of the things I've always remembered that you told me about work was if you it was about pay, and I have a hard time following the rule, but I always remember what you said is that it doesn't matter what someone else makes as long as you're happy with what you're making.
Right.
That's all you need to worry about.
Right.
And it's hard for me to follow that rule, but I appreciate
Yeah.
the fact that if I could follow it, how better my life would probably be.
How happy
Right,
you
it
would
does
be.
make a big
You
difference
would.
in your happiness, right? Your
Yeah.
perspective. So, anyways, I always do remember that. You told me that years ago, among many other things you've taught me in my life.
Right.
So,
So
okay.
thank you, Grandpa, for all the teaching.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you've always been a big teacher to me. You know, you've taught another dumb thing that you've taught me, not dumb, but just something that you taught me that is just a weird thing, but I use it every day is how to tie a good slip knot that you can just untie with one pull.
What's that?
How to tie a good slip knot
You know,
so that you can just untie it with the pulling on the end of it. You taught me
Uh-huh.
how to tie that knot years ago when we used to put
Oh,
picnic
really?
tables on your truck. So, anyways, I use it every day though with on my truck when I'm tying
Yeah.
stuff up, and I
Oh,
think
right.
about that. So.
That's interesting to know.
Yeah.
That's quite a few things you
So
said.
you did
Grandpa
pay
taught you.
attention.
I did. Yep.
Right.
It may not look. You might think I'm stubborn, but some of it's sinking in.
And it's benefited you.
Oh, for
greatly,
sure, yeah.
Greatly. Because
I mean,
you do it.
definitely a lot of my work ethic, I think, comes from my grandpa and my dad. And
Right.
our whole family's always been hard workers. We've all been in the construction trades and stuff. So,
Right.
yeah, definitely.
Well, I've been very blessed through my entire life that the Lord gave me a beautiful big family of not just children, but great grandchildren, great grandchildren, and here I am, 91, and I'm a great
Yeah.
grandpa.
Great or great
Is that Nathan, you mean?
Great.
See,
I've
it's
got-
great.
I
Yeah.
haven't
Yeah.
I haven't got beyond
Not that yet.
2 grades yet.
Well, so let's see. So you come back to Michigan, then so you're working as an apprentice. At some point, you meet a woman that you
Right.
get married to. How long was that after you came here that
He
you?
had the first wife.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
About a year or two after I got out of the army,
Okay.
I got married, had 3 beautiful children,
Yep.
and that's my first wife and myself,
Tell her name.
had 11 foster children,
Oh, really?
and in the
I don't think I
foster
knew
care
that.
program.
Did you
And
not? Boy, I thought
how
everybody
that
knew
worked was, we would go to the hospital in Detroit, and they would give us a brand new baby, maybe 4 days old,
Okay.
and we'd take it home, and at the age of 3 months old, we would take it back to the hospital for its checkup.
Okay.
And if the baby checked out sound,
Healthy.
they took it from you and said it was in good shape, and
For adoption. Right.
they'd give us another one.
Okay.
So we went home with a second one, and so forth. Well, one baby had a heart murmur when they checked up on it, so they told us that she wasn't adoptable, and we took it home, and we took it in for a 6-month, and then a 9-month, and then a 1-year checkup.
Okay.
And at the end of 1 year, the baby checked out fine, no more heart murmur. So then it was adoptable. And when they took that baby away, we didn't bring it back down to the hospital. They came out to our house to get the baby.
Okay.
And when the lady that picked the baby up drove away, my wife and I stood on the driveway embracing each other and just weeping.
Yeah. It was probably a lot
lost
harder,
the
right?
baby
Yeah.
After a year.
So was that the end of that then?
That was the end of that.
Yeah.
Never saw or heard from her again.
Okay.
But that was the way the system worked. And then we got 2 older children. We had 9 babies, then we got an older child that was about 12, and was a girl. And then we got another girl at about that age, and we had them for a year or 2. Then my ex-wife went to work for the police department as a dispatcher,
Okay.
and she found a whole new life out there, and we went through a divorce.
Okay.
Then I met my
So real quick. So you had 3 kids together,
right,
and how long were you married for then, approximately? Or
16 years.
16 years. Okay.
Right.
So your kids
Yeah,
are getting pretty
after
old.
16 years, I got a divorce, and I met my present wife,
Yep.
and her and I have been married for 49 years.
And I know that because
Yeah,
when I met you, we all remember how old I was, right?
right.
You
You were-
said you were going to be
and
free
Joey
on
was-
June 3rd.
He was too. He's going to be free on June 3rd.
Yep. So you've been my grandpa mostly my whole life.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
So I've been actually kind of blessed, although it was
It's
probably
not-
uncomfortable for you guys to have divorces and stuff. It meant that I got more grandparents. So in a
Right.
way, it was kind of nice. You know, I remember I was one of the only kids in my whole class when I was young. No, I had 5 great grandparents that were still alive when I was young,
Right.
which is kind of amazing if you think about it. You know.
It really is, because
So-
we didn't have any grandparents. Our grandparents died.
And I had great grandparents.
Yeah. Wow.
So like Nan and Papa were one of them. So that was,
Right.
you know, I was blessed to be able to meet them and know
That
them.
was true.
Yeah.
Anyway, I
was
went
blessed to keep
went
them for
through
a
my whole
while.
career as a carpenter and made a decent living at it, and was always proud of the work that I could do.
Yep.
And
Tell him about Jimmy Stokel.
what
Well,
about
hold
that?
on. Let's.
Oh.
So you have lots of funny work jokes that I've heard over the years about.
It still makes me laugh. He
The one
does.
I always remember too is Grandpa them arguing over who's going to drive home, and Gramps was saying, "How about if I drive and we can all sleep?" Because they were.
And he was great at falling asleep.
Oh yeah, he worked
His
so
eyes
hard.
were
He was
closed.
always just let out as soon as he got down to a chair.
There was an occasion quite often where the boss would send us 3 or 4 carpenters out of town to do. We call it blitzing a job, and that is if a job needed some
Blitzing.
extra help, the boss would send a
Never
crew
heard
out,
that before.
and we would work on into the night, getting it finished up, and this one particular job, I had an occasion where I did a job out of town. It was a movie theater, and I was supposed to set up all of the candy counters and so forth. And I rolled a truck,
Okay.
and all I could hear was
Glass
all
breaking.
that glass breaking. And everybody
He didn't make the
insisted
curve.
that I
He
had
was
fallen
mad at
asleep
me.
at the wheel.
Okay.
He
But
was
that-
mad
that
at me
wasn't
for
the
not
case.
going with
I
him.
was
That was
driving-
my fault.
I was driving in Ohio on a long straight road, and
he
I
fell
mean it was
asleep.
just straight. They say I fell asleep,
He
but the
did.
bottom line is
I know.
I
he
didn't
did.
see the bend in the road, and it was a 90-degree bend.
Right.
And
You couldn't recover. It was just
I ran off the road trying to
yeah.
recover and rolled the truck over.
Okay.
So another occasion where we were working out of town, Jimmy and Rocco and I all rode together in one truck instead of taking 3 vehicles. And when it was time to pretty much wrap it up, Jimmy said to Rocco, "Why don't you let me drive?" It was Rocco's truck. "Why don't you let me drive and you can go to sleep?" And Rocco says, "No, I'll drive and you can sleep." And then I popped up and said, "Why don't you let me drive and we can all sleep?"
I take it they didn't let you drive.
They never did. He usually slept anyway.
So you had a lot of big jobs. That was one of them. I know one time we came out with Grandma to see you in Battle Creek. You were working on the big cereal
Oh, yeah,
city
we
thing,
went
or
on the
well,
train.
they had the big cereal thing in Battle Creek that you'd worked on. What was that? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Let's see. You worked on so many cool things. I was telling the kids the other day about another one when you did Buddies Pizza.
Yeah.
And you brought us all there after it was finished to show us how nice it was and stuff. And then they gave us the T-shirts. I don't know if you remember, but the T-shirt said, "We're more than just friends. We're more than just pals. We're buddies." And when I wore that to school, I think I was in 5th or 6th grade,
You
and
were
I got
so
teased a lot about it because I thought it was cool, but my
I think
friends
it's
made fun of me because.
Yeah.
So I was telling Roy about it yesterday. So for the last 24 hours, I've been hearing him. Danielle's like, "You keep saying that." I go, "What?" She goes, "We're more than just pals. We're buddies." He keeps saying it to his friends on the thing now, so it's kind of funny. But so yeah, you've had lots of work. You did, I know, Sibley shoes and lots of different
Yeah.
commercial projects. So that was
Right.
a big thing you did. And I used to love too. You used to take us to the Christmas parties. That
Yeah.
Your work used to throw really good
Oh,
ones in
that was
Dearborn
nice.
and
And
invite.
picnics in the
Yeah, in the
summertime.
summertime at Camp Dearborn.
Right.
Yeah,
They
And
were a good company to
Scrambling for the
work
coins
for.
and the sawdust.
right.
Right,
And lemon ice, that's something that I always, anytime I eat it, I think of
Hey,
you.
Louis.
right.
Louis going to.
Hey, Louis.
Louis.
So why don't you tell them just so they know who Louis is? So
Okay, we had places, bakery shops in New York City when I was a child growing up that sold Italian lemon ice. And that was sort of an ice cream type of treat. And when I came here to Michigan, they didn't have those kind of places. But a guy from New York by the name of Louis opened up a lemonade shop, and he made Italian lemon ice. And it was as good as New York was.
That
So
was good stuff.
I would take my grandchildren out, and I'd say, let's stop and get a lemonade.
Lemon
And
ice.
we'd go to Louis, and if somebody was waiting on a customer before us, we wanted Louis to know we were there. So I would yell out, "Hey, Louis!"
hold on, I just want to emphasize, much to the embarrassment of all his grandchildren, because we were like in fifth, sixth grade, whatever, and it wasn't just "Hey Louis," it would be "Hey Louis." It was very loud and very boisterous,
So
and definitely Louis
embarrassing.
heard it. So.
Yep.
But it was always great. I mean, I was
It
embarrassed,
was
but it was
fun.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the lemon ice was extremely
And the lemon
good too.
ice was
I mean,
a great treat.
and you brought that to the picnics and stuff that we used to go to. I
Yeah.
remember you used to bring a big thing of it.
Right.
So yeah, I have a lot of good memories of those parties and
All
stuff.
of that stuff it was because of Grandpa. Yeah.
Yep.
And y'all got really nice Christmas gifts from the
Yeah.
rodeos too.
Just the
didn't
fact
you?
that they would actually invite your family. A lot of
All
places.
your family and take pictures of you at
Yeah.
the end of it.
Yep. Nowadays, they don't even invite spouses, barely,
I
sometimes
know,
to the
but it
Christmas.
costs them money. No
Right.
way, they don't.
So, all right. So now we're to the point where you've met this lovely lady. So how did you meet Grandma?
We went to
Okay.
Parents Without
When I was
Partners.
going through my divorce, uh, I started dating again. One of my neighbors, uh, who was also going through a divorce, decided to have a
Parents Without
party or
Partners.
some Parents Without Partners
Like a
Dance.
party,
okay.
The dance.
and
he
she
danced
invited
with me.
she invited me, and she also invited Anita, and Anita had two girlfriends that joined her.
Yeah.
So there were three ladies there that I could dance with.
Okay.
Right.
And,
This is at someone's house.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Okay.
I took a shine to Anita, but I didn't ask for her telephone number or her address or anything like that.
You're playing
But
slick.
I went back.
Yeah, he was.
I went back to the lady that invited us and said, "Hey, I'd like to send this lady some flowers."
Okay.
And
He filled
I
my
said,
house
but
with
I
flowers.
didn't want to look like I was pushing myself on her.
Right.
So I didn't ask for her phone number or anything
Even
like
though
that.
you were.
You were being respectful.
Right.
Yeah.
So I said, could you send the flowers for me? And she did. She arranged.
She called me
For
and
the
said I
flowers
had
to go.
flowers in
And
her house.
I
had to
sent a
go get
note
'em.
with the flowers saying that I enjoyed the dance.
Yeah.
And asked her if she would. She called me, and I gave my phone number with the flowers. She called me and thanked me for the flowers, and said she was going through a divorce too. And I asked her out on a date to go to the movies and dinner,
Okay.
and she said, "No, I'm not dating right now." And
Okay.
then the next week, I sent her flowers again, and
Didn't
still
give
didn't
up.
ask for her address or phone number.
Right.
And she called again to thank me. And second time I tried to date her, and she said no. And then I sent
Third.
her flowers the third week,
Okay.
I was
and
too
this time she
embarrassed not
finally
to
said,
go.
"Yeah."
Persistence
She would
pays
go-
off.
She would go out on a date with me.
Right.
So we were both tired from a day's work, and we
That's
went out
when
and
I
had
wasn't
dinner.
dating
We
because
went
I
out
was
and had
working
dinner and
hard to make
went
my
to the
living.
movies, and we both fell asleep in the theater.
What a great day.
What a
It
great
really
day.
was.
And here you are 50 years later
Right.
falling asleep next to each other again.
Good way to end the day.
Right. Well, that's cool. That's a great story. For one thing, it shows persistence pays off, right?
Yeah, right.
I mean, you
Yes.
just,
Don't
for one
give
thing.
up.
Yeah,
If you
exactly.
see
You only
something-
fail if you give up, right?
Right.
Right.
That's
Otherwise,
it.
it's just a setback.
Right.
So, well, that's a good story.
She's worth having, she's worth chasing.
Right, exactly. So so then, how long did you guys date for before you decided that you
A
wanted
year.
a year?
A
He
year,
asked
as a
me
matter
to
of
marry
fact,
him right away.
she set the precedent that if we were going to get married,
I told him he had
that
children.
I had to wait
And
a year
I
after
thought
my
you
divorce.
should
Yeah.
make sure that
Uh,
you don't want to fix it for the
and,
kids, you know.
So I waited a year, right to the day.
Okay.
I got married on the same day as.
You did that so
I
you
got
wouldn't forget
divorced.
your anniversary, get confused.
Right.
Smart man.
Yeah.
So, okay, so now you just you got a bigger family all of a sudden. Now you just got 5 extra kids, right?
Right.
So that probably was a big change for you,
Yeah.
moving in with five kids. So,
Well, I came home from work that day and my boys were up on the roof with nail aprons.
put them right to work, huh, Gramps?
Put it right to work.
They
Yeah.
loved it.
Oh, I'm
They
sure.
loved it.
Yeah, kids always want something to do.
Right.
They just need some direction.
Right.
After their first date with their mother, she came home found me on the roof. Well, what happened there was I was into, in addition to my regular work, I was doing a sideline
Okay.
of storm door work.
Yeah.
And I would drive down the street after a storm, and if there was a shutter off the house or storm door was swung open and
Gotcha.
going back and forth, I would put a card in the door saying I would repair your storm door or put a new one in. If the roof had a shingle, and by the way, this roof, you see this, you can't see it now, but there's a line there
Okay.
where it started to open. She had shingles
That were loose and
Missing.
linking.
and just the one spot.
Yeah.
So after I dated her, I came back the next day and
Fix the roof.
told the boys that I was here to fix the roof. See those shingles that are off?
Yeah.
I'm gonna patch it.
Okay.
So
He
you
said,
don't so you
Mom,
don't get a
you
leak in the
dated
house.
some weird guys.
So you don't get a leak in the house.
This one's the cream of the crop, huh?
And I tied nail aprons on them and took them up on the roof
But
with
he
me
loves him so
and
Right.
they're best
showed him-
friends.
showed them how to take off the shingles around the area that was needing to repair
Yep.
and how to repair it. And that was their first experience with carpenter work.
Right.
But she come home and here I am with the boys up on the roof, patching the roof.
She's like, what did I get myself into?
And they were in their glory, the little boys. They thought that was the best thing ever. But
So
they still thought he was a weirdo.
let's see, what else?
But he was a flower child.
Yeah, because
Right.
that's what he was telling them. He's a
Sent,
flower
sent
child.
her flowers 3 times, so
Oh,
I
okay.
guess
That's
he was a
what.
flower
Because I don't
child.
picture you as a flower child. Like when I picture a flower child, I'm
No,
thinking
when
of
I
a
was-
'60s
When I
hippie.
was dating, no,
That's
when I
not
was dating, one of my
Never was
dates
what he was it?
dubbed me the flower child.
okay.
So she wasn't the only one that got flowers.
Who else did? That's a new bit of
Huh?
information I didn't have before. I don't think I want to know the answer to that.
So you've been interested in a lot of things. One of the things is gardening. Why don't you
Yeah.
Want to talk about gardening at all? I know. What you said after the war, you did it a little bit. Where was that at? Here
Yeah.
in Michigan, or at Grandma's
Yeah.
in this house?
When I came home, and I mustered out. 7 days later, I came to Michigan,
Yeah.
and I've been here ever since.
So I remember when I was young, you. Let's see. The first garden I remember you ever having was, I think there used to be a pool there, and then when you got rid of the pool,
Yeah,
you put a
yeah,
garden in
yeah.
where the pool was. I think.
Right.
Yep.
I think that's the first garden I ever remember you having, but I don't. Maybe you had gardens before that.
Okay.
agree.
My gardening was a result of being born and raised in New York City, where you never saw a seed sprout
He
Yeah.
was
Or a flower
fascinated to
bloom,
watch those grow.
or a flower bloom or anything
He
like that.
couldn't even wait
Yeah.
for him to
So,
break the
I
dirt
became
before
very
he lifted.
interested in growing stuff. So I started having a garden, and
The rest is history.
I like doing it.
Yeah, and I know you went down to North Carolina, and you and Richard hit it off talking
Yeah.
about that's for reference. That is my grandma's sister's husband.
Right.
They lived in North Carolina on a farm, and
Yeah.
very farmer
Well,
friendly.
when our mother was in
He
her
called Sal Yank.
when our mother was in her
Hey, Yank,
last years,
what you doing now?
she needed help down there, and her sister called and said I could use some help down here with Mom. And Anita and I went down for the whole summer, and we locked up the house here and went down south, and it was in the spring of the year, so Richard was putting in his garden, and he told me, I'll give you a piece of land and you can put your garden in, but you stay out of my garden.
Okay.
And he meant it too,
He
because
wasn't
he
kidding.
would rototill his garden,
Yeah.
and then he would rake it, so there was no footprints in it.
Okay.
So if I so much as set a foot in his garden, he'd know it. So anyway, that's where I really learned to garden. And everything I planted, he'd say, Yankee, what are you doing now? It's gonna die.
Was he right?
And
Right.
sure enough, it died.
But you
But
learned.
you know something? I planted another seed, and up it came.
Right. Well, and now definitely you're successful. I know you have the greenhouse in the
Yeah.
back and your garden at Greenmead
Yeah.
that you do every year. So, yeah.
Well, pickles was one of my big things down there. I like to see them grow.
Papa's
And they
Pickles, right?
And they had white cucumbers down there,
Apples, pickles,
and I'd never seen a white cucumber.
Yeah.
So
the northern
I
pickles
planted-
with the southern
I
touch.
planted some seeds for white cucumbers, and they not only came up, man, I had the cucumbers.
Okay.
And with Mom being sick, I was growing the cucumbers, and I was picking them twice a day, in the morning and in the evening.
They went
So
wild.
I got them when they were small,
Yeah.
and put them in jars. And
You learned to can,
I would
to
get
make
up at
pickles.
6 o'clock in the morning, maybe once or twice a week.
In my mother's
And,
kitchen, Sheila didn't say a
and
word.
make pickles.
She always told me, get out of
And
my kitchen.
by the time her mom and her got up, I had the pickles already in the jars. I had maybe 6 or 8 jars of pickles, and the kitchen was clean,
Yeah.
but you could smell the vinegar.
Yeah, you knew something
in the
happened.
house. Yeah. But I took care to make sure that I cleaned up after myself in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Right.
But I got up early and got my canning done, and that was a nice experience.
Right.
And that when you came back from that, that's basically when you started doing green meat, right? And really started gardening hard here. So, huh. All right. So what else we got? So you're cruising through life now. A lot of the rest of it I know because I was part of the rest of it.
You
So
were, honey.
yeah,
You were,
so-
you know it. And everybody else that knows
The
it
rest
knows
of it is so my grandson came over and took an interview on my life history, and it's almost the end.
Well, yeah, so we'll pick up next time with my grandma, and
Right.
maybe you can add some more in too if we think of anything, or we can
Well,
always
I
come
might- I
back.
might learn something.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, you'll help me remember mine like I helped you. What
Right.
would you have done without me?
I didn't say you did what.
If you didn't have her finishing your sentences for you, you wouldn't even know what to
Right,
do,
there
right?
you go.
So, all right, Gramps. Well, thanks a lot, and we'll talk to you soon.